In this episode of Structural Sense, Ryan and I are going to talk about our 5 top personal development books. Don't go anywhere. Welcome, everybody, to episode 11 of the Structural Sense podcast. As always, I'm at Steve Sansford. He's at Ryan from work. And we're going to move a little bit away from fitness for this episode, and we're going to talk about some more personal development stuff. But before we get into that, if you haven't had a chance to subscribe to the channel, please take a second to do that right now. We really appreciate the support. It's going to make sure you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. But for this episode, personal development. Huge. Well, I wish I'd known how huge it was 30 years ago, but I didn't, and I know it now. And we steep in it regularly, on a regular basis. A book a month, 10 pages a day. And over the time we've been involved, there are certain books that stand out to me. Certain books that have almost become a staple of life that I've read multiple times. I continue to read them over and over again. We're adding in new ones, but there's some classics. And what we thought we'd do is we've been sharing a lot of personal fitness stuff with you guys lately on the channel, and I hope you appreciate it. We want to start sharing more of the mental side of it because we're very fond of telling you that the body is never going to be right until you get the mind right. So we want to start giving you guys some resources to do that. Yep. So we put together our top 5 personal development books. We talked back and forth. We suggested some titles, and we really narrowed it down to the ones that we think have made the biggest impact on our lives, on our professions, and what we do. So any opening comments before we jump right into the list?
No? Good.
All right. These are in no particular order, not any order, but our top 5. Number 1 on the list, Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich.
Thoughts are things.
And really, that's the entire book right there. If you haven't read it, I'm sorry that we spoiled it for you. But it's such an incredible read. The book was written by Napoleon Hill. At the turn of the century, the Industrial Revolution did research into the 500 wealthiest, most successful people in society and drew together the commonalities of their story. And what it came down to is thoughts are things. And it's just an incredible story of success and hardship and trials that these gentlemen went through, and how their determination to not give up on what they wanted got them what they needed in the end, got them to where they want to be. So
I really do like the book too because they go over interviews, right? These are like basically interviews with people that are some of the most successful people in the world, or were some of the most successful people in the world. So it's important when it comes down to studying anything. It's important to understand where you get the information from. Right. And, if you want to study, being a bum and being useless, then you go talk to someone on this, not to be, but like go talk to a bum. Right. And they'll tell you how they messed everything up. Right. But if you want to study success, go study the people in the world today that are creating large success for themselves.
If you want something in life, the easiest, simplest, most guaranteed way to get it is to go find somebody that already has it and do what they did to get it. And if you do that, you're going to win.
Yep, you'll have it too.
So if you want to learn to be successful, read Think and Grow Rich. Read what these gentlemen did, and then go and do it. And it's that simple.
Well, and that's what people don't realize too. I mean, even when it comes down to us and the way that we talk, right, and the conversations that we have, I get it from people all the time. They're like, wow, where do you get this stuff?
Books.
I actually tell them it's mine, right? But
it comes from books.
Yeah. But it comes from reading. It comes from listening to it. It comes from being around successful people.
Exactly.
Right? So, that's where you get results from.
Number 2 book on our list, I'm going to let Ryan talk about this one because I know this is one of his personal favorites. Mm-hmm. It's The One Thing by Gary Keller and Papasan.
Yeah.
And I've read it, and I think it's brilliant, but I know you've been itching to talk about this one. So.
Yep. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't gotten fully through it. I've been so busy with so many different other projects. I need to start hammering down this. But the one thing, to break this one down, what is the one thing you can do every single day that'll push you forward in life, right? Whether it be, for instance, today, the one thing that we did is this podcast.
Right.
This is our one thing, right? When it comes down to some other days, it could be the exercise that I do. It's whatever gets you to the results that you want, but making sure that you make it consistent and do it on a daily basis just to grow yourself further.
There can be multiple one things. I found when I read the book, the one thing applied to a goal. Mm-hmm. Right? So the goal for us is to build a successful podcast that shares personal development, personal fitness information with anybody that wants to view it. So what's the one thing we need to do every single day to make sure we reach that goal. The biggest thing, it's actually film the podcast.
Yep.
Nothing else really matters. If we get in front of the camera and we film the podcast, one way or another, our information is going to get out there.
And really that's what it is. Gary Vee talks about it a lot. He's huge in the social media industry nowadays. But he always talks about content, right? What it is for us and what we want to do for all of you is just give you guys more stuff, right? Give you free content, things that you can look at and understand, you can get a great benefit out of it. So, this is why we're doing this podcast specifically, because you can see some of the great books that we've read or are reading, and then therefore get the results that we've gotten as well.
Which leads to a really interesting segue I just thought of when I glanced down to see the title of our next book. I think a lot of people are hesitant to put themselves out there. They're a little unsure of themselves. They don't feel they have anything to contribute to society as a whole. If you find that's you, go pick up Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins, the number 3 book on our list. It's a hard read. I'm an avid reader. It's a hard read. It's an intense book. It's got a lot of really big scientific sounding words in it. But the message is there. And Tony Robbins does a great job of encouraging you to change the way you think and realize that you do have some value. You do have a giant within you just waiting to get out and share what it is you know with the world.
It's very important to know that. I mean, every single person is unique. Every single person has their own set of skills. And unless you share that with everyone, we won't know what it is. So by all means, get out there and just show us what it is that you're good at, right? Because what you have, someone else doesn't have.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, Awaken the Giant Within, great book for helping you overcome those fears and help you build the confidence to go and do it. The 4th book on our list is really interesting because it's kind of the book that brings everything else we do all together. Mm-hmm. And we talk about it a lot on this podcast. I think we talked about it in the last 2 episodes specifically. We talked about consistency. It's The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. And the principle of this book is it's the small, seemingly insignificant daily decisions that seem to have no effect on anything that compound over time to produce measurable results. And I can't think of anything better to illustrate that. Ryan, perhaps you could do that than what happens back there on our green screen.
Sure. Yeah. It's exercise. It's everything. It can apply to everything.
It does apply to everything.
It's important to make sure that you're consistent in whatever it is that you want in order to get those results, right? Exactly what you just said. Small things, small disciplines compounded over time create massive result, right? So no matter what it is that you want, as long as you're doing it on a consistent basis, you'll get the results that you want.
So if I have fast food for lunch today, is that going to cause an immediate and detrimental impact on my health for today? Unlikely. If I do it tomorrow, is it going to cause me a problem? Probably not. If I do it all week, I'll be feeling the greatest by the end of the week, but it's probably not doing lasting damage.
No.
But if I do it for a month, for a year, for 10 years, I have some serious problems.
Well, in the book, he talks about it too. He talks about 3 people. And he says, there's 3 people. One of them doesn't change anything, stays consistent. He says one of them does something small, just has 1 Coke a day or something along the lines of that. And the other one decides to work out, 3 times a day. Or sorry, three times a week, right? And he broke it down, and what you found is over a 7-year cycle, right? The one person that did nothing stayed the same.
Imagine that.
Right? They were just dormant. They just stayed the same. The person that used that compound effect of having a Coke a day gained 27 to 40 pounds.
That's a lot of sugar.
Right? Over
See
that
our
7
episode
years.
on sugar from a couple of weeks ago.
And the person that worked out and took the sugar out of his diet lost that weight. So it brought it down to the fact that the person that was 27 pounds less, right, and the person that was 27 pounds more, the difference between them was, what? I can't even do that number right now, 54 pounds, right? Insignificant difference, right? It just goes to show how quickly things
Compound
can change.
effect.
Yeah.
So the 5th and final book on our list is Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. And I'll be completely honest with everybody watching right now who's about to watch in the future. I've forgotten 6 of them. I honestly have no idea what 6 of them are, because there's one in there that is so profound and so life-changing. It's the only one I care about. It's begin with the end in mind. I don't care about the other 7, because once you know what it is that you're chasing, once you've got that vision, in your mind. You can see what it is you want, and then you apply the principles of thoughts are things to it. You put the two of those things together, and you can have it do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm. Now, when it comes down to it, actions are very important.
Sure.
Right? But, it just goes, it makes proper sense. One of our famous mentors, right, says it all the time, 1% doubt, you're out.
Yep.
Right? So it's important to make sure that you don't doubt yourself in the situation. Go for it, right?
For example, this podcast, before we even started, we had a vision of what we wanted this to be, where we wanted it to go. We wrote it down, and we visualized it, and then we just started working towards it consistently, doing the one thing. Thoughts are things, the compound effect, awakening the giant within. It all goes together. It's all a formula for success. It all comes together to make sure we get to the end that we're looking for. And that's where we started. When we get to the end, we're going to say, wow, we're here. And we know what here looks like because we already have it wrote down.
Exactly.
We know what the end is. We know what we want to get to. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Structural Sense. I hope you enjoyed this one. A little less about the fitness, a little more about the development. I know we certainly enjoyed talking about these books. We've really come to love this stuff. What's your favorite personal development book? We'd love to hear from you. You can tweet us at Structural Sense or just drop it down in the YouTube comments below. We'd appreciate hearing what books have changed your life.
The other thing, too, I was going to say is if you guys think there's a certain book that we should read that you don't think that we have, please let us know.
Yes.
Because there's a huge list of books that I think that I need to get already as it is, but we'd love to hear more from you guys.
Yeah, none of these books we just picked up off the shelf and said, hey, we should read this because it looks life-changing. No. It was shared with us through somebody that says, hey, you need to go and read Think and Grow Rich. It'll change your life. So please share the books with us. We'll continue to share with you. Together we'll build a strong community. And speaking of community, if you haven't had a chance to subscribe, we'd really appreciate the support. So go down there real quick, take a second, hit that subscribe button. It helps us out a lot. Also press the like button if you found this video useful. As always, I'm at Steve Sansford.
I'm at Ryan from work.
He's at Ryan from work. And remember, the mind must be right, or the body never will be. Thanks for watching, and bye.